Okay, so in this video, what I'd like to talk about is a post from the CATIA MBSE Cyber Systems community. This is a great community if you want to learn more about Cameo, CATIA Magic. All of us here at 3DS are all over this community and answering questions daily. So if you have questions, please post on here and we will try to answer them. So in this case, this is actually an additional or supplemental customization on top of what was already asked for. So it was a self-scoping table originally, which I can do in a separate video. And then he then asked to, well, what if we could also have it automatically rename the table? So I wouldn't suggest doing this, but I am going to show an example of how you can. The reason I wouldn't suggest it is because whenever we're modifying model elements in a live session, you're depending on your programming proficiency, you may be able to do things that are unintended because you might not understand the underlying code, you don't have access to it. So there's all sorts of reasons not to do it, but that being said, if you want to play with fire, we can play with fire. So, furthermore, let's go ahead and start. So there's some extra things on here. I like to do a bit of digging when I'm trying to figure something out. So I created a profile and a profile diagram, and I threw on this diagram table. This is the originating stereotype for the generic table. And then this is the customization responsible for that generic table text when we open this up. So if we open this up, we can see it's called generic table. It's because of the representation text here. You can find that by searching through the model for generic table, like I did. I use these for a little bit of help understanding what exactly the model views as a generic table. Maybe it had its own element type, it didn't. So I went through these steps to figure out what it was. In terms of its implementation in the tool. So I created this customization here. So we give it a name, customization of generic table, and then we set the customization target here. So let's go in here and you can type in customization target, select diagram table because that's the stereotype here that we're trying to modify related to the generic table. And then we add attributes. You can add attributes through here. And you name that attribute. I named it rename table. And then all you have to do is give it the expression. So now what we're trying to do, to reiterate, is we're trying to automatically rename a table based off of its context. So this is a Groovy script that does just that. So I've established three variables: a table name metachain, a table context name metachain, and a table. This semantic was actually due to the fact that when I used this, it returned an error. So I created a contextual variable called table instead of this to bypass that. So you may not need that. I could have been doing something wrong. Let me know in the comments if you know what. Okay, so now to the script. It's a simple script. We just check to see, is the table name equal to the table context name? If it is not equal, we want to make it equal. So I grab I create a temporary variable called table string. I change this element. This meta chain returns an element. I change that to a string. And then when you change it to a string, it has some brackets surrounding the string. So I go ahead and I replace all of those brackets with nothing using this regular expression, replace all in Groovy. And I do the same thing for its context string. And then I take the table itself, and I set its name to the context string. Simple as that. All right, so let's see this in action. So currently we have test in here. If we move this out, we can see that it doesn't change yet. And the reason for this is because there's no listener capability in scripting. So what we have to do is we have to invoke it. When we go to the specification, then it has to update this so that it can show you what this name is. So it does so, and you can see that it's changed its name to model. We can change it back by going here and invoking it again, and you can see, and we can also do this with this one as well. Doesn't matter which you use, they should all work. The one caveat that you want to be careful with is the fact that in the code that I wrote, it does not check to see if the context owns any elements with the same name. That might be something that you want to check for, because if I were to drag this up here, it's going to return an error. It's going to allow you to do that because we're scripting, but you're not supposed to have two elements that are the same. That's going to cause all sorts of problems. So please check for that, or just be aware that that is something that your team, if you establish this as a profile and you hand it off to your team and you don't check for that, they could constantly make that mistake. So just be aware of that. And that's everything for this particular video. Please let me know if you liked this, or if there's any other sorts of customizations that are similar to this that you'd like to know more about. Leave a comment below, please, and thank you.